I came back from my trip a day earlier than planned, never imagining that this day would change my life forever. I was tired from the journey, longing for my bed and from my little girl, Layan, whom I had left for a few short days in the care of my husband's family. When I opened the door, breathing in the relief of being home again, I froze. There she was, Layan, on her hands and knees on the kitchen floor, scrubbing the tiles with her tiny fingers, tears streaking down her cheeks. She looked up at me with fear and shame and whispered that her grandmother had told her this was to teach her manners. Something inside me broke. Words failed me. I knelt beside her and pulled her into my arms, holding her until her trembling eased and her breath calmed against my chest. Then, without a second thought, I packed a small bag, took her hand, and walked out of that house. I didn't look back. Going back would have felt like betrayal. The night road led us to a small roadside motel on the highway to Zarqa. Its old neon sign flickered weakly. The air smelt of dampness and stale coffee, but it was clean and quiet, and that was all I needed. Layan fell asleep quickly beside me, curled up with her stuffed rabbit. I stayed awake, staring at the cracked ceiling, listening to the weary hum of the air conditioner, thinking about all the years I had spent trying to please everyone at the cost of myself and my daughter. By morning, my phone was boiling with messages and missed calls, 10 from my mother-in-law, 5 from my husband, Mason, and countless unknown numbers. I finally opened one message from him asking where we were, saying his mother was hysterical, claiming that I had kidnapped Layan. That word, kidnapped, made my chest tighten. I typed a reply, deleted it, then sent only a picture of Layan sleeping peacefully, with no caption. By noon, Mason arrived at the motel. His face was pale and exhausted. He stood before me in the small parking lot under the burning sun and said that his mother hadn't meant any harm, that she claimed I had left without telling anyone. I looked him straight in the eye and told him that his mother had left our daughter alone at home for hours to go shopping and to a theme park. His eyes widened in disbelief, insisting that this didn't sound like her. But I told her she had admitted it and that he could ask Leon if he didn't believe me. He fell silent, muttering that they said it was only for a short while, and I cut him off, anger burning quietly inside me. 7 hours, I said. 7 hours, and she's 9 years old. He sighed, trying to compose himself, promising that he would talk to them. I told him he was too late, that I already had. When he asked what I had done, I said I went to their house, packed every toy and gift they had ever given Layan, left them on the balcony with a note. His voice trembled when he asked what I had written, and I told him I wrote, "You don't get to choose which granddaughter deserves love." He stared at me for a long time, then said softly that they would never forgive me for this. I told him I wasn't looking for forgiveness, but for respect. For my daughter. Silence fell between us, heavy and unyielding. We both knew this wasn't about one incident. It was about years of favoritism, cruel jokes, and silent endurance, all in the name of family. That evening, on the drive back to Amman, Layan sat quietly, staring out the window. I told her she wouldn't have to visit her grandparents again unless she wanted to. She smiled faintly and asked if we could order pizza that night. I laughed and said, of course. That night, we sat on the couch eating pizza and watching an old cartoon. She laughed so freely, and I watched her, swallowing the tears that rose in my eyes. Then, a new message lit up my phone. It was from my mother-in-law, accusing me of destroying the family. I turned the phone face down and whispered that I had saved it instead. 3 weeks passed in silence. At first, it was suffocating, but slowly that silence began to feel like peace. Until one day, Mason insisted we attend his niece's birthday party, saying we should at least be polite. The room was heavy with tension, every smile rehearsed. When my mother-in-law saw us, she approached with a false smile and said I had caused a scandal. I replied calmly that I had only told the truth. She said I was exaggerating, that the neighbor had been watching Leon. But I smiled faintly and said that the neighbor herself had denied it. Her face reddened and she accused me of poisoning Mason against his family. I looked at him. He seemed caught between us, like a man standing on thin ice, and I told her that if the truth was poison, then this family had been sick for a long time. The room fell silent. Before she could speak again, Mason stepped forward and said that she could only be part of Leon's life if she treated her as a granddaughter. Otherwise, she wouldn't be part of it at all. Her eyes widened in shock as she asked if he was choosing me over them, but he looked at me, then at Leon clutching her rabbit, and said he was choosing what was right. The party ended in quiet hostility. On the way home, the city lights blurred against the car windows. Liana whispered that she didn't want to go to their house again, and I took her hand, promising that she wouldn't, not unless she wanted to. That night, as I tucked her into bed and turned to leave, she asked softly if we were still a family. I kissed her forehead and told her that we had always been a family, but that tonight we had finally learned not to let others decide what that word meant. Outside the window, the night was still. Distant cars hummed along the highway, and a train whistled faintly from the east. Ordinary sounds, yet to me, they were the sound of freedom. The next morning, there were no messages, no calls, no accusations, only silence. But this time, the silence felt different. It felt like peace.